Good morning, folks. This is John Strand, the Truth Maverick, reporting live in Hollywood, California for Totally LA, a New Right network. And I'm here with my good friend, Herschel Walker. How you doing, Christian?
I'm great. How are y'all? I'm an online social media political commentator. Happy to be here.
We just wanted to take a few minutes and discuss some things that are going on in the world. Obviously, it's a critical time coming up on a very important election. Not just any election. There's a lot of things going on in the country and in the world that have caused most of us a lot of concern. You know what's going on. But do you? But do you actually know what's going on? This is what I wanted to kind of highlight. We're standing here on the corner of Sunset and Cahuenga in front of the very well-known CNN headquarters building here in LA. And Christian, it came to my mind that there are these buzzwords and these terms floating around that people are screaming back and forth. And I wonder if we really understand what they mean. So for instance, CNN has kind of come to symbolize this concept of what we call fake news, right? What is fake news?
Fake news is when the media purposely leaves things out or twists things to seem a certain way and therefore gives the wrong impression to the American people. For example, CNN's famous term at the moment is peaceful protests. So a group of violent rioters can be running around the country, burning buildings down and killing police officers, but CNN will insist, no, it's mostly peaceful, when in fact it's not.
And they actually had to board up their sign for that very purpose.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. It's the things that are happening it's kind of difficult to wrap our head around, because we would expect that if we're watching a news broadcast and a reporter is saying, I'm doing it right now, I'm reporting live from Hollywood, beautiful Tuesday morning, and the CNN building is boarded up. But these people get on TV and they say these things, and sometimes they're literally just not actually what's happening. They're completely untrue. So how are we supposed to function in a world where information is being delivered in a way that seems straightforward, like this is what's happening or this is what is not happening, and yet we realize, like you said, it's twisted? How do we process that?
It's quite hard. I don't think there's a single answer, but I do think that President Trump has come in and kind of disrupted what was going on in the media. They've been lying for a long time, and he's called them out. So I think one thing we're getting out of his presidency is the disruption of fake news and hopefully the abolishment of it.
Some punchback, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing I like to remind people, that it's important to, first of all, think critically, look and see what's going on, and make rational decisions about it, and speak up and say something if somebody says a fact that's completely unfactual. So it's important to consider those ideas. Another one, you mentioned peaceful protests, mostly peaceful. So not too far from here, we've got Hollywood and Highland, incredibly busy tourist center with a lot of traffic. A lot of people walking around, a lot of cars driving around, and they've shut the whole thing down to paint this giant BLM Inc. slogan on the street. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, I just really think all Black Lives Matter has done is show themselves to be a domestic violent terrorist organization. So I think the audacity for cities to be uplifting this terrorist organization is quite offensive, when all they've really done the past couple months is cause a lot of destruction. We have not seen them go into black communities and help clean them up after they've destroyed them. We have not seen them aid black communities who were already in trouble. So I take offense to it, that's even a thing.
Right. So you have African American heritage?
Yes.
Okay. So coming from that community or relating to that culture, what is your response to, I hear from a lot of people that say BLM is an important thing to support because Black lives have been disadvantaged or oppressed for so many years. There's systemic racism. There's racism and oppression against these people built into the system. Talk about some of those things and break those terms down for us. what does systemic racism mean? What is that?
Systemic racism is this idea that there's some imaginary white supremacy within our laws that holds people of color and holds black people back, when if you look at our laws and if you look at the way the country functions at the moment, people of color are far more advantaged than white people through affirmative action, through diversity quotas. So the media is yelling at everyone that we have this imaginary term, systemic racism, in our country. Black people are disadvantaged, people of color are disadvantaged, when it's simply not true when you look at the facts.
Looking at the facts, that's always helpful. This reminds me of another thing I thought about recently. People keep saying, so I'm wearing this hat right now. It's a pretty well-known slogan. But I keep hearing people say, when was America great? Or, America isn't great, it never was great. First of all, can you explain for us, what does great mean? Because we're not saying America is perfect.
Right.
We're saying America is great. So what does greatness mean to you? And given that idea, why do we understand that America was great and we want to return it to greatness?
Greatness to me, in relation to how a country functions, refers to plenty of opportunity to pull yourself out of poverty and plenty of opportunity to make yourself successful. And America is the foundation of that in the world. We're the foundation of freedom, of individualism, of freedom of speech. We're known for people immigrating to our country in an effort to better their lives. And so when we say make America great again, what Donald Trump meant when he said that was, through 8 years of Obama and through lots of lies of the Republican establishment, we were putting all of our effort into neoliberal trade deals that screwed middle America, which is the foundation of our country, and it was furthering the divide between rich and poor. So what Donald Trump meant when he said make America great again is, we're going to put Americans first, of all different social classes. We're going to bring opportunities back to America. We're going to bring jobs back to America, and that's exactly what he's done, and hopefully will continue doing in his next 4 years.
That's a great response. I think that breaks down what the Trump administration is trying to accomplish, what Donald Trump is referring to when he makes that phrase, make America great again. Let's dive a little deeper, though, into the history. You're very well versed on history, which I think is fantastic. And it's a big problem in American culture right now, is that students are not being taught properly, if at all, particularly about American history. They don't even know what it is. If anything, they're being taught outright lies that are falsehoods about what American history is or was not. So I think that lies at the center of why they don't understand what American greatness is, and that America truly was great and is great in its essence. The theory, the core concept of what America is, what it means, is a great thing, which you just explained, that it's championing individualism, freedom and liberty and opportunity. But again, from well-meaning people that are confused, I hear a lot of folks saying, but America was never great. So take us back, just a quick 30-second recap of sort of how this country started, how it came to be here, and the greatness that has carried us through that arc.
Well, when people say America was never great, they often refer back to slavery and they refer back to Native Americans. Number one, slavery was a worldwide institution, but it seems as though America is the only one who it's blamed for it and never gets to move past our sins. There was slavery, there was lots of slavery in Africa, and for any people who like to weaponize black people's skin color in an effort to make them emotional, it was our black ancestors in Africa who sold us into slavery. So that's really, no, that has nothing to do with anything. We got past that. As far as the Native Americans, before European settlers came over and settled the country, this was a hellhole of a land. Native American tribes were running around killing each other, slaughtering each other, enslaving each other. It wasn't until Europeans came over, settled the land, and brought Western civilization over to America that we had a country. Yes. I think if we look back into any people's group's history, there's rough things, there's sins, there's all of these things, but eventually we have to move on, and I think we have.
Absolutely. Like we said, America is great. It's not perfect. And so I think that's an important distinction to understand, that all countries are made up of people, and people are imperfect. So there will always be problems. But as you said, there were some really pervasive problems in most countries where people were running around killing and enslaving each other. And the foundational structure, the core concept of what is America and why is America great is this idea that human beings are sacred. They have dignity because they're human. In other words, all lives matter. You know, not political slogans, but the reality that all people are human beings, so they all matter equally. And we want to recognize that and protect that. And we use laws to protect that, because without laws, what happens? I think we've seen it this summer, but expand on that.
Without laws, we're plunged into anarchy, and we saw that throughout the summer. I know in my neighborhood of Beverly Hills, we had a weekend in which the rioters came over to our neighborhoods, burned a bunch of buildings down, literally, burned cop cars down. I mean, there's no safety, there's no comfortability, and that's another thing about America. It's quite safe. You can call the police, they can show up, and with, you know, what the Democrats are doing and what progressives are doing right now is trying to break that structure down, trying to break our law and order down, and it's very dangerous for our futures.
Protecting the future is very important. There's nothing else that we could work harder on. Great information, Christian. Thanks for breaking some of those things down for us. And we're going to keep fighting to combat the lies, defend the truth, support liberty and opportunity for all Americans, and save this amazing country, because it is great and we want to keep it that way. Reporting live in Hollywood, this is John Strand, the Truth Maverick, along with Christian Walker for Totally LA, a New Right Network. God bless. Christian Walker, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Christian Walker. The Ian Walker is a number 1. I also have a YouTube channel, Christian Walker, and a blog, thechristianwalker.com.
Amazing. Great stuff. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Oh, God.
That's all right.